What is up, everybody? I hope you're having a really good morning. We've got some pretty interesting news because I'm the host this morning, T Shroom. Where is Tim? Well, Tim is at his home and he's taking care of Taylor because Taylor has gone into the first phases of going ahead and giving birth. So she is not started giving birth yet. I don't know a lot about birth and the process. I probably should know more about that, but she's had contractions, I believe was the term. So that's for those of you who know more about that, then that's good. But we're very excited for Tim. He's probably not going to be on the show the rest of this week as he is there with Taylor and caring for her. I'm sure he will update us more. But that was the call this morning, just for him to be there with Taylor in this important moment. So the show goes on. I am joined by my trusty companion here, Piper. Army Piper, you know him, you love him. Piper, how are you doing this morning?
Brother, doing fantastic. Not doing as good as Tim is because he's about to be a dad to the awesome young Brody. So hey, shout out to him, and I hope everything goes wonderfully painless for Taylor. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've got some big headlines from the Treasury. We're going to take a look at how Bitcoin could actually be reaching all-time highs. Yeah, you heard that right. There's an analyst out there who's been calling it, and we're going to take a look at what his argument is here. It's very fascinating, very interesting, and to me, pretty compelling. But before we do that, let's go ahead and read the quote of the day, which is over on my screen. And the quote of the day comes to us from Winnie the Pooh, who says, "Sometimes the smallest things take up the most room in your heart." So, Winnie the Pooh helping us out this morning with a great quote.
let's go, Winnie.
You can't get enough. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump over and read into some of the names of folks who are joining us this morning. If you are joining us for the first time, go ahead and smash that like button and consider subscribing. But our first commenters of the day, first chat of the day was Crypto Pew Pew Cruz and Mr. J.
Pew
So very
pew.
excited for them as they got in there very early. Also had Elliot Locke, had Eric Wallen, 88 Ace, Crypto Trades, What is Up, my guys, Mike Play, OBC, Crypto Sec Guy, Curtis Rorick, Steve E. Shrum saying, mind your P's and Q's. My P's and Q's are minded, and so are Piper's. Well, I don't know about Piper's P's and Q's. CBD Suddy, Crypto JMP, Joe Nickel, Brian D, Crux of Crypto. What is up, Crux? Everybody say good morning to Crux this morning. He is a champion of the newsletter that came out yesterday. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and give it a check. Get a good market outlook of what's going on and what to expect this week. I see Tyler Main. I see Gia S. What is up? I see Joe Nickel. I believe I read that name twice now. Let's scroll down to the bottom. Crimson Caravan Company, Elo Brown, Alexandria G. And if I did not, Juicy Toes. And if I did not read your name, Ninja Glock, that does not mean that I do not love you. It just means that we've got to move on with the show. Eric Wallen says, it was nice of Tim to name Brody after the investing bros. That's right. That's true dedication, Eric Wallen. Eric, great observation there. I also see Crypto Mini Bike and Crypto Trucker Mike. All right. Well, that's good stuff, guys. That's good. Thank you guys so much for joining. We are getting ready here. If you're just joining live again, Tim has been expecting a baby for a while. He is usually the one who opens up our show. But I am T Shroom opening it up. Tim is away. He's taking care of his wife who has had contractions and is soon to be going into labor. We'll be delivering updates as soon as we know. So let's go ahead and go into our macro news. I'll throw it over to you, Piper. I know there wasn't a ton on the schedule for today, but perhaps we can kind of see how inflation's looking on the true inflation.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are some changes over there. Let me go ahead and jump down into that screen. And here we go. Yeah, looking here, guys. Said today, Tuesday, we got Fed Logan's speech that took place at 7 a.m. my time. So about 7 minutes in on that speech right now. And we'll take a look at the charts here in a bit, see if there's any play off of what he may be saying. But I'm not expecting too much from him. What I'm looking for today is at 8 a.m. my time. This is 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's going to be new home sales today. I'm going to be looking to see how this comes in today and see if those home prices are going down, because shelter is a piece of the inflation rate. So we want to see how those come in. Let's go ahead and also take a look at tomorrow. We got FOMC minutes coming in tomorrow here, giving us the breakdown of what Fed Chairman Powell said at the last FOMC and what everyone was talking about. Thursday, we're going to have initial jobless claims, and then we're going to have that PCE report on Friday. So that's what we're looking at there. Let's go ahead and jump on into Trueflation. Guys, down again, 1/100th%. Trueflation just keeps on dropping. This is now currently 1.6%. Actually, my bad, 1.87% below what the actual U.S. government is reporting right now. So curious to see how that one comes out on the next inflation data. And let's go ahead and jump over into FOMC. Since this is where Tim is normally taking the lead on here, I'll go ahead and jump on in. Looking at June here, guys, not really much change. We're still looking at 73% here for June. For the this is going to be zero rate hike. This is going to be a pause in the Fed rate increases. So we're still looking at that, even though we got all that news data that's coming out that T-Shroom is going to be going over with you. Still looking at a pause at about 73%. Looking at now July, we're going to have a pause also, sitting at 56.7%. September, any change there? Let's go click it and see. Nope, still looking at the highest likelihood being a pause also in September. Then November will be the first time that we see the highest one being the highest likelihood being a cutback of 25 basis points. So no changes on that, despite all of the info that has come in about the debt ceiling and the money printers going burr again. So that's what I'm seeing there on the macroeconomic news, T-Shroom.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at my screen really quick. We'll check in with the fear and greed index. I'll cut to the chase, guys. Nothing really has changed. It's still at 50, still neutral. Moving in the right direction from last month, which was greed. Just to get into a nice neutral position to build a nice structure on the price charts, which we will now go ahead and take a look at. So, Piper, if you could help us out, go ahead and break right on into Bitcoin and show us what you're seeing, what you're thinking. And if I have any inspirations or insights, I will make it clear to you. But you go ahead right on trucking through all of the coins that you would like to do some TA on, and we'll check back in around 9:30.
Let's do it. All right, taking a look here first, guys. Looking at Bitcoin right now on the 4-hour chart. And you can see that we had a nice little pump up there yesterday. And I'll get into Ethereum here in a minute. But, we said that there looked like there could be a breakout coming in the next 24 hours. About 12 hours later, we had a breakout. So did run up all the way to the dynamic reactor, just shy of it right there, leaving a little gap underneath it. And now kind of consolidating sideways. Could this be more of what we saw over here and over here? Very possible. But I think everything is just a little rally on some news yesterday, and now it's just going to consolidate, trying to wait to see what happens next with what we're going to hear in the news today. Really, guys, the news today is going to be the big piece that you're missing to this entire puzzle, because that fundamental analysis it matters. So you got to take in that news into account when you're looking at these charts right now. So while I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that we are in a consolidation period, I do believe that this consolidation could pull down or could rocket up out of here based on what comes out in the news this week. So be listening to the news, and you can do that easily by just tuning in right here every morning on the Investing Bros. So let's go ahead and see where we are with the 12-hour. I want to see how we hit on there. Looking at the 12-hour chart here, yeah, we touched the dynamic reactor on the 12-hour here, rejecting perfectly right there off of that thickness of the cloud, and that's where we are sitting. Looking at the oscillator, we do have this ribbon twist pushing up right here and trying to come out, but remember that the ribbon tends to trade inside the cloud. So obviously, once it gets tight, it can break, and that creates the fatter cloud. But right now, I'm not seeing anything that's really indicating that this cloud is going to fatten up because of a big move here. Especially if this consolidation continues sideways right here, this cloud is very likely going to do more of this. So that's what I'm going to be watching for on there. I do see that the RSI is starting to come back down a little bit here. And something that I want to show you guys, I brought this up yesterday on Debate Crypto. If you guys were watching that, you saw this stuff yesterday, but not everybody was watching. And if you were there watching, I appreciate you guys, because it was great being on the show with Frankie Candles there. Even got a shout out from Frankie Candles on some of the TA I was doing on the levels that I was seeing. And that was an honor for me, because for someone who cut his teeth on TA, watching people like TA Tim and Frankie Candles to get accolades from Frankie Candles, huge honor. So shout out to Frankie Candles. Jumping over here, looking at the 1 week Bitcoin chart. This is the Gaussian channel, guys. And what I want to show you guys here was, yesterday I was talking about on there that we had the median line here on the Gaussian channel, that we had a nice perfect retest thereof, and that I said that 25 280 range was going to be vital, but I do believe that this actually could be coming back up to hit the Gaussian channel here again, and that would be 29,700 29,500 range. So another point that I want to show you here is, if we go to the 5-day here, the 5-day gives us a totally different story, guys. On the 5-day, we had a breakup in. We got a rejection on the median. We retested the bottom of the Gaussian channel. And then we got a rejection at the top. It pulled back down in on this one 5-day candle here. And the next one broke us out. We have not retested this yet on the top of this, and we typically do that. If we go back here into some history here, you'll see we typically tend to test that when it comes into the range. Here you go. We came in out of the red, traded here for quite a few months here in the top band of this above the median, but we came back and retested the top of this for about 2 months. So I suspect that we're going to possibly do that here, and this green is going to continue on. So it's looking pretty bullish on the Gaussian channels to me, if you ask. Frankie watches RME, nothing new there. No, RME watches Frankie, Elo Brown. I am nowhere near in the realm of him, even though he called out some of my stuff. He does some great TA over there. I will maintain my humility and just say it was an honor. So, looking here on the 1 week Bitcoin, you can see we got rejected off that dynamic reactor. Currently, right now, we do have a bullish candle pushing. And if this closes at least the size that it is now or bigger, we're going to have a bullish engulfing candle here. So that would be nice to see. I think, though, that really that range is at 29.5 that we have to break through here. Again, that 29.5 on the weekly back here is going to be right there in the realm of that top of that Gaussian channel, which is also going to be right here in line with the dynamic reactor. So that's what I'm seeing there for Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and jump into some Ethereum, show you guys what we were talking about yesterday. So yesterday on the show, I told you guys about this triangle that we had going here, and I drew these off and said, while it was looking a little bearish down here on some things, because we were on the zero line here and we had a really tight cloud on the oscillator, I did say sometime in the next 24 hours, we will have a breakout, and I tend to say that it's going to be to the upside. Well, guys, what happened? We broke out to the upside about 12 hours into that 24-hour prediction there, and now we are sitting here in a consolidation period. Matter of fact, if I bring this down on the 1 hour, you'll see we're just kind of grinding sideways right here between the delta line and this top trade band of the predictive ranges here. We created whole new ones after breaking the top frame. New ones were were created. And so I tell you guys all the time on these that when these print, these channels, these predictive ranges, they print at the beginning. And so for this entire period, you had notification of where those lines were going to be. Well, now you're seeing a new, fresh baby predictive ranges growing up here. And we now know that we can watch for price action to occur in between the two trade bands. That bottom trade band right there, going to be coming right near the 786, which was our previous resistance. I do suspect that we are going to come down, probably hitting inside of our trade band here on the lower gold line right there, which is going to be a wick down to the 786, retesting all of this previous support back here for one. Resistance that's now support, I should say, retesting that 786. And if I go ahead and I throw on in here the fixed range volume profile, you'll see that our, I got to come up. There we go. Grow. There we go. We can now see that our point of control is dropped down from that 786, guys. So I don't know that we're going to come all the way back in this far to test this. I think the 786 is going to hold, but you do have to take into account that this is a possibility coming in at about 1800 right now. I am more of the mindset that we're going to come down to the lower trade band and the 786, which is going to be around 1825 for that retest. So that's what I'm seeing on Ethereum. Let's go ahead and jump over into the higher time frames on this just to see what we're looking like there. Get yourself in order here, Ethereum, please, and thank you. There we go. I am watching for Ethereum to make its push up here to the 886. If it does not break down, or even after it retests that 786, and that's going to be coming out at about 1920. The one thing that I do want to point out here, let me go back to the 4 hour and let me bring this in. Let's just isolate this chart off just by right clicking. Thanks to Kelly Kellum teaching me that. Appreciate that. Big shout out. See, there's still things I don't know. It's okay. Yeah, let's go and let's pull up the chart prime patterns. There we go. And guys, yesterday I had said that the breakout pattern on this inverse head and shoulders that we were creating here, that it looked like we were extending this neckline down to here. This was the actual retest of it. And I said, if that is the case, we can be looking at this hitting up to the 886. But I also told you that if we were to break out of this pattern here and we were to move this over to the breakout point, I think it was down here, that it would be up to that trade band, the upper trade band. So there you go. I had also told you 1870 was going to be the first target I was looking for. Well, we actually hit 1874. So I was off by $5 there. My apologies on that prediction. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing on Ethereum. Let's go ahead and jump into some other stuff. Let's take a look at the Dixie here, see what the Dixie's doing. I showed you guys this last week that we were ranging in this trade here. I think it was last Friday when I did the solo run. Moment of pause for a drink of coffee here. Because this
great job
dry, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a good call, and I was very excited last night when it played out beautifully. I even said it on Debate Crypto. I told them, hey guys, I'm more bullish on ETH than I am Bitcoin, and I'll show you why that is in a second. What I was seeing and what has happened since then. But on the Dixie, let's focus on this. We broke out of this channel. We got support on this upper resistance line of the predictive ranges right here, which is now a support band. And now we are running up the bottom of this channel line. So this is now our resistance. I do suspect that this is actually going to be pulling back, though. I don't think we're going to get much higher than this 103 to 103.75. I think we're actually going to be coming back down very shortly this week based on the news that's coming out. Looking to see this come back down to the 101 range, somewhere around probably the 102.16 to the 101.50. I think this is going to be the range that we come back into just because of everything that has taken place here. What I was seeing on the ETH chart, guys, and why I was more bullish on ETH than I was Bitcoin, was because of its setups of its RSIs and all of that. But if you look at where we came back up to, we completely surpassed this whole area here on our breakup, right? And now our breakup is now in line with this previous resistance. But if I look at Bitcoin, Look at our breakup on Bitcoin. All we did is come back up to previous resistance. We did not break previous resistance on Bitcoin like we'd have on Ethereum. So that's why I was looking very bullish on where we were at with the price action yesterday. We said there would be a little pullback. There was, then the pump. And that pattern that was building up there on Ethereum looked a lot more tight and a lot higher for a breakout point in comparison to its previous resistance than what Bitcoin was on its pattern, because it had very high resistance levels at here, which is exactly where we came to. So, actually, if you look here on the 4-hour, candles closed at the upper trade band. So, yeah, ETH definitely was more bullish than Bitcoin was yesterday. So, what else did I want to show you? Let's pull up some ADA for my Cardano people out there. My second largest wallet. My second largest wallet in my portfolio. Good old Cardano. Shout out to Crux for getting me into Cardano this bull run. Appreciate you, bro. If you take a look here on Cardano, had a couple of nice big candles here on the volume that pumped up, but really starting to slow down on the bearishness. The bearish candles of the volume are starting to pull down a little bit. I do think that we could see, if Bitcoin doesn't drop, a good little rally still coming here on Cardano. And I do think that we could be breaking through, which we have not done on Cardano in comparison to Bitcoin and ETH. Get through this dynamic reactor. We might see a little alt run take place when it happens. So I want to pull up the look at the dynamic reactor here, or look at the oscillator here, and look at the RSI. RSI looks like we still got the signal line coming up on the RSI, so this could easily come back up. But right now, we are starting to see a little ribbon pinch here to pull back into the cloud. I'm going to recant my previous statement. I think that we're actually going to see a little bit of downside on Cardano before we come back up. So let me pull a little fixed range volume profile here and maybe give you guys some of those levels. Let's take it from over here to here. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I can see this easily. We got a point of control coming in at 36.7 cents and 36.1 cents. That could bring the oscillator right back down to the zero line for a nice bounce before it comes back up. So I'd be watching for that 36.7, possibly 36 cents here on this fixed range volume profile for the bounce before it comes back up, which would also give time for this dynamic reactor to come back down. Price comes down here, maybe bounces, and then gets that punch through, looks for that retest on the top of it, and up it goes. So that's what I'm seeing there on Cardano. XRP, very, very lame. Let me actually go to this one. XRP is disappointing me today, guys. We had all this breakout yesterday. Everything moved. What did XRP do? XRP just stayed right here in the golden pocket. Very boring. I mean, come on, man. We got the Hinman documents going to be released, I believe, on June 6th. Is that correct, T-Shroom?
It's somewhere around there.
Yeah. So yeah, sitting as long as we hold this 618 here on the golden pocket at 45.8 cents here, I think we're good. I would love to see this range here hold until we get those Hinman documents released, and then that would give us a fantastic base to break up out of and support. Lots of action in here in the golden pocket previously. So now that we broke it above the dynamic reactor, it's good, because that was really what kept squeezing us in as we were dropping here. So yeah, looking good though, guys. I mean, it's boring. It's definitely boring, but we're holding the golden pocket of support, so I'll take it. What else do I have here? June 13th. Okay, that's what I thought this morning. And then Tim was saying June 6th, but I thought it was the 13th. So that's good. That's good. The last one that I want to pull up here on the chart is going to be Litecoin, just because, we got some stuff going on with Litecoin, guys. Those that may not know it, we do have the halving event coming up in August. And so I'm watching for, man, we're just grinding sideways there. Who is pinging me all over Discord today? These people don't realize I'm like in live streams. And if you're in the Discord and you don't know I do a live every day, something's wrong with you. We've had 2.0 touch on this lower support band of the predictive ranges here, guys, on Litecoin, holding good support there. Still just kind of grinding sideways, but I do want to point out that the run on Litecoin happens before the halving. If you guys are thinking about moving on the halving with the halving, you're trading it the wrong way. Litecoin tends to run up prior to its halving, and then it pulls back. Okay. So don't trade the my not financial advice, my personal preference. I do not trade the halving event. I trade the prior to the halving event. I take the profit. I look for the non-movers like Chainlink or something like that has not moved yet because it kind of runs off schedule. And then I will jump in on what has not moved yet with all those profits from Litecoin. So that's my plan on my Litecoin run. The last cycle, it pulled back 62% after the halving, but it did I want to say like 5x prior to the halving. So that's what I'm watching for here. Nice support, maybe on the 382 down here, or on this lower support band, start DCAing a little bit, ultimately trying to catch the golden pocket for my biggest entry on the dynamic reactor here on the 4 hour, and then ride that until the halving event, probably the day prior to, buy the rumor, sell the news, and get out of there with my profits, because it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And that's what I got for TA today, T Shroom.
All right. Very good. Very good. Well, let's
But
get into the community
for
section.
our people, if you have not done so yet, you need to hit the like, the subscribe, the notification bell, and help us grow, because he's going to be showing you those numbers. And you can do that by sharing this video with your friends that need to get the alpha, which we bring you daily. Back to you, T.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Very good. Well, into our community section. I mean, there's no bigger news on the community side than Tim potentially having a child. Uh, so you don't need to be on my screen for this, but yeah. So let's go ahead and see kind of what's going on in the chat. Uh, Piper, are you seeing anything going on? Looks like people are pretty excited about Litecoin crypto trades. Yeah, so it's June 13th that those Hinman files are going to be released in court
Yeah, we
for
were
the
corrected. It's the Henman emails. That's what we're
Hinman
waiting on.
emails. Okay. All
Thanks,
right.
oh man. Appreciate it. Yeah,
Something from
what else is
Hinman.
there? Yep. Some the Hinman things, those things. Yeah, I'm not seeing much in there. Guys, share, like I said, share the video. That's how you can help grow the community. If you guys are interested in it, any of the indicators that I used from Chart Prime, you can check the link below. There's 45% off your first monthly or quarterly down there. If you're not in the Discord, you should be in the Discords, because I was dropping yesterday that this stuff is breaking out. So yeah.
Absolutely.
You got some
Absolutely.
you got
Well,
some market stuff for us?
so yeah, the markets are not open quite yet, so we will wait on that. But oh, now it is. All right, so we can
Yes.
go ahead and check out how energy is opening up this morning. Energy oil coming up a little bit here, up 0.9 on the heels of a major statement from the OPEC leader, Saudi Arabian finance minister. I don't have that story picked up. I thought that I had it open, but the finance minister said that oil speculators better watch out, insinuating that oil is going to have a move to the upside. To date, oil is pretty low. It's right now at $72.50 per barrel. Now it might not seem low to you, but that's fairly low from where we've been over the last year and a half. You can see, prices have mostly been on average. I've got a lot of indicators up here. Hold on a second. On average, we've been kind of north of $80 per barrel. So, this is a pretty low point for it. And the Saudi Arabian trade minister or finance minister said, you better watch out if you're short oil right now. So, is it a bluff? It could be. Definitely could be a bluff, but we expect some fireworks over there on the energy side here pretty soon. The Dow Jones and Nasdaq and the S&P all opening up lower here on the first minute of the New York session, with the Nasdaq and the S&P totally twinning right now. They're both down 0.46, and then the Dow Jones is down 0.5. So moving right along, I also wanted to take a stop here at the VIX. The VIX up 5%. Guys, this is actually pretty bullish. I won't get too much into this because we don't cover it very often. But the VIX being down here, you can see it's got room to run. The VIX likes to consolidate and then make a big explosion when there's volatility in the stock market, of which there is some volatility to be expected. Whether that's going to be to the upside or the downside, we shall see. But let's go ahead and crank right into crypto here. Green across the screen. You're seeing Binance up 1.4% and Bitcoin and Ethereum up more than 0.7% there, more than 0.6% for both those names. Optimism Chain
And
doing pretty well here.
I will point out that Ethereum's pump is bigger than Bitcoin's.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so I'm seeing Tron and XRP are the only red names here so far. Doge also down. But seeing green across the screen there in crypto. So all your names are getting a nice little boost this morning. Very, very good stuff. All right, the mixed metals here, precious metals, gold down very slightly, and then silver down a little bit more decisively here. Let's take a look at silver as it's starting to see a decline. Let's zoom out to the weekly chart because we don't cover silver all that often. Here we are, and it's looks like it's dipped right back into this line, this downtrending line of resistance that it had penetrated through. Could it still confirm this as support? Probably not, actually. I think it's past the point of no return here for silver. Doesn't mean it's not going to come back up, but from a technical perspective, it's invalidated this breakout. So that's bad news, bears for silver over there as the bears kind of take control. Moving into our mega cap tech stocks here, you'll see that there's not too much green going on other than Microsoft getting bought to the tune of 0.1%. So not very much decision there for the mega cap tech stocks. Maybe we'll circle back with them. Let's see. The bond yields are all coming up. So, bonds are having to become more attractive in order to incentivize purchasing. And you see that 2 years still up at those highs of 4.3. Let's go ahead and click in and take a look at the charts for the bond yields as they're ticking up. Does that not look like a head and shoulders to you, Piper, on the bond yields? That's kind of interesting.
It does.
But
It does kind of look like it's building one there for sure.
yeah. So that's the bond yields, guys. This is unnatural. For those of you who aren't tracking, this is an unnatural bond yield curve, and so it's going to continue to be a big issue, especially with these really young dated bonds here. The 3-month and the 6-month up 5.3 and 5.4 respectively. That's pretty brutal, but it's been like that for a while. So, that's just the government continuing to paint itself in the corner and ignore the blistering truth of its mismanagement of our country's budget and finances and the world's currency, the U.S. dollar. But all right, moving along here, cannabis mixed here, mid cap tech stocks, pretty mixed. Although you are seeing pretty much down. DraftKings down 2%, and Robinhood and Coinbase down. So, although Coinbase just ticked green, as I said that. Big banks, green across the board. Oil, green across the board. More than likely responding to that bullish tone coming from OPEC's leader, Saudi Arabia. All right, well, let's do a quick pivot over into our stories, guys. I'm going to have to start with a salty one that I had not really anticipated starting with, but I was looking over at Twitter. Let me show you how I discovered this. I was looking over at Twitter, and as you can see here, I saw Binance bombshell. And so I Googled that, and this, guys, is what came up. So I don't know what exactly to think about this, but Reuters, this morning at 6 a.m., 10 a.m. GMT, 6 a.m. EST, has posted this headline: Crypto giant Binance commingled customer funds and company revenue, former insiders say. This is pretty big news if true. Going over to the crypto charts, though, you see Binance is still up 1.2% this morning. So the markets have not seemed to take this all that bearishly. I'm not going to go into the details because this is a very, very long, this is a deep dive. It looks like a few journalists have got together to do a pretty big deep dive into Binance's finances. And as you can see, they're trying to illustrate how the commingling worked, all of this, and I'll leave that there for a second. You can kind of screenshot that to come back and look at it later. But it's just if you just Google Binance and Reuters, it'll come up. And then there's another diagram here, which you probably can't see because I'm blocking it. But ultimately, guys, this is a bad headline. Whether or not it's true, whether or not Binance was commingling funds, we shall see. But this is kind of what was going on over at FTX. But here's the difference, guys. Is
That's what I was going to
FTX
say. I want to remind you, this is what
FTX
happened at FTX.
Yeah, FTX was kind of a flash in the pan. It had some early beginnings, but FTX, the brand, was really a flash in the pan compared to Binance that's been around for multiple bear cycles at this point. So we shall see. Considering that the price of Binance coin is not really moving, I have the weekly chart pulled up, so it's not a great illustration, but you can see over here on the ticker tape that Binance is still getting bought this morning. So this story either hasn't penetrated through to traders, or it's just not really true, right? There's some kind of slam campaign going on there. All right. So moving on into our regularly scheduled stories, that was breaking news that I literally just found on the stream. So let's keep moving. Treasury Secretary Yellen repeats warning of U.S. debt default. It is highly likely that Treasury will no longer be able to satisfy all of the government's obligations if Congress has not acted to raise or suspend the debt limit by early June and potentially as early as June 1st. So, kind of taking things to a little bit of a more escalated height in her rhetoric, saying, hey, not only are things going to go south, but they could start going south as soon as June 1st. That's pretty scary stuff. And I don't know if anybody's told Janet Yellen, but there's been some banks that have already been custodied by the government. And so things have already gone south, but they could be going even more south there, according to our U.S. Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen. So there it is. She's got some stuff to say, and we're paying attention because she's a very important lady here in the United States. Well, we're going to get here now to our thumbnail story, guys. I'm excited to bring you this one. Check it out. NVIDIA stock revisits all-time high. Why Bitcoin could be next. So let's go ahead and take a look here. The chart above shows the correlation between NVIDIA and Bitcoin. It suggests we could see a big move in BTC, much like we have in the chip maker. The chip maker, of course, being NVIDIA. So guys, here's kind of, if you're new to crypto, if you're new to trading in general, here's kind of the thesis that, let me see if I can find, there's a Twitter account that, so Tony the Bull, at Tony the Bull BTC, was the one who seemed to kind of present this to the media this morning, which is essentially a correlation, right? Whenever there's new bull runs, there's going to be a front runner. Usually, like in the mega cap tech stocks, that has been Apple and Microsoft have kind of front run, and Google and Amazon and Facebook, like Meta, are kind of bringing up the rear. But it's an easy trade to make because you can kind of assume that traders are going to diversify into other names in the mega tech cap industry. And that usually does play out. So here they're making a cross asset class observation here. This is Crypto Tony saying, hey, there's going to be actually a correlation between NVIDIA and Bitcoin, and that could spell big upside for Bitcoin. So that's something to watch. NVIDIA is obviously the line here in blue that has reached its all-time high and is poked higher, whereas Bitcoin is still lagged. It has not moved all the way back up to 69. I remember being the all-time high. So there's a wick there that's not super easy to take a look at there. But also reading some more details, there is a strong correlation between BTC USD and NVIDIA. And this is going over multiple years here, guys. So you can look back here all the way 2014. You were probably just a kid out on the baseball field throwing the baseball back and forth with dad. Just kidding. Who knows what you were doing? Maybe you were doing having your first kid like Tim's about to. But all the way back in 2014, you can see for yourself if you are compelled to believe that NVIDIA does indeed have a pretty strong correlation there with Bitcoin. I certainly am compelled to believe that, and we may see a continued move there for Bitcoin to the upside as a result of this pretty strong correlation. It's the same people buying NVIDIA are going to buy Bitcoin. There's just a delay is kind of the thesis here, and it's going to push Bitcoin all the way to all-time high. So tell me in the chat Do you think it's BS? Do you think it's legit? Is Bitcoin going to see 69 in the same way that Nvidia has come up and seen its all-time high of, it looks like, 312 per share? Let me know in the chat. Piper, I want to go ahead and throw it to you. We'll take a pause here as we in our headline section. What do you think of this? Is this compelling? Are you fudding into not fudding? Are you FOMOing into Bitcoin as a result of this, or are you staying strong on your stated plan of investment?
Oh, I'm staying strong on my stated plan of investment, man. It's a 5-year plan. It's worked for me so far, so that's what we're doing. However, average crypto Joe said that it looks like YouTube is shadow banning us right now, and it took forever for him to find us. So, guys, how do you beat that? You beat that by sharing the stream. That's how you get that shadow ban gone. So, yeah, and add it
Share
to your
it and
favorites.
like it.
Yeah, and hit that notification bell. Hit that notification bell. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick to my plan, but I do think it's bullish for Bitcoin. Remember, I mean, I am all about Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted, T Shroom. I am very bullish on Bitcoin. I just think that Ethereum tends to outperform Bitcoin on the run. So that's
Sure.
why I'm invested in Ethereum. But the whole reason that I'm invested in Ethereum to maximize my profits and gains is to ultimately put it into Bitcoin. So yeah, I'm bullish on Bitcoin because of that news there, though. I mean, even the hash rate's still looking strong. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's get those miners going. So
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, we'll continue here with our stories. So, moving back into it, Coinbase to roll out Moving America Forward national campaign for crypto. That this national ad campaign in America is focusing on the critical role that crypto will play in modernizing the global financial system. The firm outlined its plan in its new Moving America Forward, campaign, which will kick off via a series of 4 different advertisements featuring Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong. These will mostly air during popular Sunday shows on US TV, with some also appearing during the ad breaks of NBA Final Series. Okay, well, they're giving you all the details of this campaign, so that could be pretty interesting stuff here, guys. And they've even got some sneak peeks of what it might look like. Pretty cool stuff. I mean, the new ad campaign here for Coinbase certainly going to reach some new hearts and minds that may be compelled to purchase the beloved Bitcoin. All right, moving into some macro news. President of China Xi's Micron ban shows China's limited options to hit back at the U.S. So this is an interesting story. China's move to ban Micron Technologies Incorporated products from coming into their shores from the United States, so marked its most meaningful retaliation yet against the U.S. export controls. Now the question is whether President Xi Jinping will go even bigger and try to risk blowback to his own economy by banning other things, maybe banning like Ford and Chevy, banning all kinds of different American brands. So Piper, I'll actually throw it over to you. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that this move to ban our microchip manufacturers is a move that China should have taken?
well, like I said for a while now, China's in a economic war with us. We're having a financial war with China. Bottom line, it's the only way they can really risk. It's the only way that they can risk fighting the United States without destroying their economy, because an all-out war would destroy their economy. We're the number one consumer. But what I will point out, though, is that banning Ford and Chevy and all that is not going to be that big of a deal. For American-made vehicles, with the exception of Tesla, have greatly declined in the past decade in China. Their EVs are outperforming our U.S. Automobile sales in China like tenfold. Tesla is the only car that can compete in China for car sales. So now, are they going to go and turn around and ban Tesla? Possibly, but I don't think that's going to happen either, because where's most of Tesla's stuff made at? In China. So that would be cutting off their nose to spite their face, for a little analogy there. But one thing I will point out, recently we did have Elon Musk, who went to China and talked to Xi Jinping about some unknown business that they never really disclosed. So maybe that was part of it. Like, look, I know you got all this stuff going on. I want to make sure that we're on good terms and that there's not going to be issues here with my supply chain. So it's hard
Yeah.
telling what kind of money he passed off to China to keep that chain open. So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and get into our next story here. AI generated image of the Pentagon explosion caused a shock market stutter yesterday, a stock market shudder. So let's read into some of the details. Here's the image. If you saw it and you retweeted it, that's not a good retweet. You take a little more time to vet what you're seeing on Twitter there. But essentially, the details here are that due to the news, the S&P briefly dipped 0.26, but quickly recovered after the news was released that it was fake. So, guys, it's just one more thing you got to be on the lookout for as a AI generated image kind of become more available to everybody. Everybody can do it. I mean, I used to make uh, G- AI generated images all the time on Midjourney. That's how I met one of my great friends on there. And so, that's something to consider that more and more people have the option to do that. I've seen some people say, hey, you could have just made this on Photoshop, you know, like, why are we freaking out? Well, the difference is because it takes a long time to use Photoshop. If you've ever used Photoshop, Photoshop is not easy to learn how to use. There's a lot of little buttons and there's all kinds of different features that you can use to make things happen on Photoshop, and it takes a long time to learn that. Whereas I can just type into Midjourney, make me a picture of uh, McDonald's merges with Starbucks, right? And if I can make a compelling enough looking, ad that they would have made, then I could convince a bunch of people that McDonald's has merged with Starbucks, right? So, and I don't have to have any Photoshop experience to create that image. And then I can hop over to ChatGPT and have it write an article that makes it look like that's the truth. So, there's a lot more to be concerned about in terms of the war for truth out there. Just be careful, guys, because now AI is in the hands of any 14-year-old, right, who has any kind of idea to try to bring chaos to the world, and so you just want to be careful there. Don't be fearful, but just be smart. All right, moving on into our final story here. This is Africa's first test run for a CBDC has failed. We'll get into some of the details here, but essentially, the CBN, the Central Bank of Nigeria, openly announced that the end goal was to target 100% cashless society replaced with e-Naira. Fewer than 0.5% of Nigerians adopted the e-Naira, and protests erupted across the nation. So folks have not been happy with this, and this is a little design of why they're stopping there. They said that there's significant hoarding of banknotes, there's worsening shortage of clean and fit banknotes in circulation, and there's an increased ease and risk of counterfeit. So those are the reasons behind the currency's redesign. So we shall see what kind of happens with this e-Naira. It looks like they're canceling it. It's been a failure. What I would like to do is bring on SSM, who actually lives in Nigeria, to come comment. He is part of the Gem Hunters, so we'll have to put that together. But they are using this is commentary now from Zero Hedge. This is Zero Hedge take, and we can start the conversation here in the last 10 minutes, Piper. But they are using again, this is Zero Hedge's commentary. They're using Nigeria and other countries as test subjects before rolling out these programs in the West. It is hard for Americans to fathom currency calculation as it has never occurred here. Yet the Federal Reserve has made it clear that they are looking into this option. Per usual, the market it as a convenience for the people. So they're going to market as convenient for the people. That's how they're getting them to get them to use the CBDCs. In truth, it is a way to ensure money stays on the grid under the thumb of the government. They will not allow 1 cent to go untaxed. And as the program expands, they can remove individuals and organizations from participating in society entirely. So that is kind of just put simply, kind of the narrative that Zero Hedge has been pushing in terms of CBDCs. And a lot of people agree with that. So, Piper, maybe going back over to the Brocam, kind of tell me, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that this is overstated, or do you think this is exactly what's going on, that Nigeria is just a test subject here for the West?
it's well, I think that I think they're trying to control and keep money within the country. But I think the thing that people don't may not understand about Nigeria is the only thing that they don't trust more, or the only thing that they mistrust more than their government is probably British Petroleum. There's a long history of the Nigerian people just being oppressed and just fiscally destroyed by their government. So, of course, no one's going to buy into it. Why would you want to, get rid of your hard physical cash, put it to the side, and pick up the CBDC created by a government that has just absolutely destroyed your economy and sold out to corporate British Petroleum for decades? So, the country should be super
Yeah.
uber rich, and it's not. It's absolutely not. It is got some insanely high poverty rates. Uh, so I don't know if you know this or not. In Kuwait, no one, if you go to Kuwait and go to any of the cities, anyone that you see working anywhere, whether it be, cleaning the streets, working in restaurants, to banks, whatever, not a single person there is Kuwaiti. Every last
Hmm.
person is a third country national that works in Kuwait as a migrant. The people of Kuwait do not have to work. They're paid a stipend every month per person in their household because of how much oil is sitting under the ground. Um,
Hmm.
Nigeria has the potential to be close to that. So, and they're not, because they sold it all out to corporate British Petroleum. So the people have a lot of reasons not to trust their government. Why would they ever trust a CBDC? Ever? So, and I do think
Yeah.
that you're right. We need to bring Sam on, SSM Crypto. Brilliant young man. So I would love to have him on the show to talk about why he's in crypto in Nigeria. So
Yeah, I absolutely want to do that. Hopefully, we can do that before I leave in June. Because I agree. I think he's a really smart guy, and he's there. He's been living in it, and I'm sure he has some really interesting takes. That, and I'm sure some experiences that he could share. But overall, I'm not sure about whether or not Nigeria is a test subject. I think it could be. It very
I don't
well
think it
could be.
is.
I think more than likely what it is it's just a regime that doesn't really care about its people more than it cares about itself. And so it's deploying this new technology, just like it would deploy an M4 when an M4 is created, or a tank, an Abrams, right? Or some kind of missile defense system on its own people. I'm not saying that Nigeria has done that. But when there's a new technology, of course, forces with a lot of power are going to want to obtain that technology, learn how to use it, and then deploy it for self promotion and self gain. I think what's more than likely happening is that's been the case, that type of a phenomenon. In the West, like the UK and the United States and other countries like Australia and Germany, have kind of observed that, and certain powerful people in the government have the luxury of observing how that kind of plays out, accounting for
Yep.
the major cultural differences of the West and Nigeria, accounting for the major economic differences and the major export import differences and linguistic differences and all of that. But you do get a picture of how do humans interact with this system, this CBDC system. And ultimately, I mean, I gotta admit, it may be encouraging news to see that the CBDC failed. You could say that the West is less likely to roll something like this out because it just didn't work. But you could also make the counter argument, well, the people trust their government in the West a lot more than Nigeria, which might seem hard to believe, but that's probably the truth. So yeah, I think that there's a little bit of both going on here. I think that it's probably the West and the IMF as well, and central banks around the world are able to observe what's going on, and they've been able to get a nice data download of how people react and what the adoption rates are,
Yep.
and kind of go from there. I will point out that this is also happening in Jamaica. They've rolled out a CBDC that's active currently, and also in Sweden, and they've had similar outcomes where people just don't want it. They just don't see the benefit of it, and they don't trust the government enough to say, "Hey, I'm going to go ahead and start using this." So, yeah. So, Piper, I mean, do you have any closing thoughts on this story as we kind of close the show out?
Yeah. So when you see these adoptions not occur, and or there's a hesitance to adopt, I should say. Um,
Hmm.
it literally can only be tied to two things: one, fear of new technology, not understanding it, or mistrust for the government. Because really, what's the difference between using your debit card and using a CBDC? It's still digital money. It's just one you can pull out and hold in your hand if you want from an ATM, and the other one you cannot. So there's only really two things. And so their messaging campaign is a complete failure on selling it to the people, or no matter what they're selling, the people aren't buying because they know that they're full of fill in the blank. So
Yeah, that's pretty true. That's pretty true. Well, guys, thanks so much for hanging with us. What I will point out is we've got Bro Time today on the Discord for our paid members at 3 p.m. Get in there and you're going to love it. We always have a lot of fun in Bro Time. We'll probably be talking about the fallout of this Binance article that seems to be fading the market at this point. Everybody's kind of ghosting it because Binance is getting bought up. But anyway, we will see you guys in the next video. You are watching and listening to the #1 most generous investment community online. If you're a part of it, we're so proud to have you on board. And we'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms News got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.